Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. This is a video I've considered making for a very long time. I wasn't sure it was appropriate to post on my channel, but I have since come to believe strongly that it is very important and it's very relevant to the things that I post on this channel. One of the most common questions people ask me is how I've come to own many different luxury watches. In particular, how have I amassed the funds to be able to afford all of these luxury goods at my age? Which, as of this video, I am presently 26 years old, and I have owned well over 30 luxury watches, and currently own several, including that solid gold date just or president in front of you. As you've seen on my videos, if you've been on my channel before, all the watches that I review on this channel are personally owned by me, and while I don't own all the watches that I've posted videos on anymore, as I tend to go through them quite a bit, they all have at one point or another belonged to me, and I have purchased them. The answer to how I've been able to afford all these things is actually both simple and not quite what one would expect. The answer you would assume would be obvious. I must have been born with money or be lucky and landed a well-paying job right out of college. The answer, in fact, is both far simpler and far more unexpected. Put simply, I attracted the necessary circumstances in my life to amass my collection. I decided what I wanted, and I created the abundance that I sought. Before I explain, let me start with a simple fact. When I bought my first Rolex, I wasn't making a six-figure income or gifted with a large inheritance. Actually, when I purchased that vintage Rolex, which it was actually an Oyster Perpetual with a California dial, I was working part-time and making minimum wage. How is this possible, you may be asking? And I know this is starting to come off like an infomercial. I assure you right now I am here to sell you nothing, nor am I here to sell you anything down the road. I am simply here offering you a bit of knowledge, which has served me quite well in my life, and I feel it's my duty to pass on. Well, by conventional wisdom, what I have been able to do is not possible. The key ingredient to this was a strong desire to own a luxury watch. And as I mentioned before, the answer is both simple and yet very unexpected. Attainment starts with an idea, pure and simple. As I mentioned earlier, I created the circumstances necessary to get what I desired. People are raised with limiting beliefs, born of a poverty mindset of never having enough, and that those of greats with great wealth or abundance must simply be lucky or have been successful by taking unfair advantage of others. While surely there are immoral people out there that achieve things in this way, this is not the only way to abundance. The truth is that you can indeed have anything you desire so long as you believe you can have it. Belief is the key word that I want to call out to you. For if you believe something to be out of your reach, it will remain just that, outside of your reach. What I speak of has been called many things. The secret, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, vibrational reality. Some of you may understand it through science, through string theory and M theory, quantum mechanics, as some teachers call it, the vibrational vortex. It's been called many things by countless teachers throughout the century. Some people who preach this today you might be familiar with are the famous Esther Hicks, who does the teachings of Abraham, Tony Robbins, Rhonda Byrne, Jack Canfield, Albert Einstein, Henry Ford, Disney, Buddha. And while not all of them have taught this concept per se, they have all at one point or another pointed out in such and not so secretive ways of its truth. And what is this truth that I speak of? The fact that you can have anything you want so long as you believe that you have the ability to have it. Alright, I know what you're thinking now. That I'm a moron, that saying a bunch of words doesn't make a dang bit of difference, and that you can't just walk around and be like, oh my god, my entire life is going to be perfect, and I believe that I can be spectacular, and that my life is going to be great, and it'll just fix itself. That I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, and that I need to be committed because saying magical words doesn't change your reality whatsoever. And I agree, and I can see why you think I'm a nutcase. But hear me out. What I'm explaining to you is more than just saying funny words or believing something. There's plenty of things in this universe that you can believe that are fallacies and are going to be of zero benefit to you. You could, for example, believe that gravity is no longer effective and jump off a building and see what happens. I don't recommend it. So why is this any different than making up something else? If you are to spend any time studying the current scientific understanding of our universe, in particular the fields of quantum mechanics and string theory, and there's also, I believe, an M theory as well, though I apologize, I'm far from an expert on this, you will discover a common thread amongst all of the most common scientific theories. I say common because obviously they're not all that agree with this. But most scientific theories currently agree that the universe and tangible reality are basically one thing, and that one thing is energy. That actually there really isn't a tangible reality, that all we are is collections of energy, and that energy is displayed, I believe, in the form of vibration. Now, you're going to have to forgive me, I may not be explaining this as eloquently as I should be, but hear me out. Assuming everything is energy, and taking beyond that the fact that many very intelligent people tend to believe that thoughts, as with everything else in this universe, have an energy to them, and knowing that what we know about energy in terms of how energy can interact with other forms of energy, and how energy can attract other forms of energy, like if you were to think of in the terms of like magnetic energy and the way that magnets can oppose and attract, how different types of energy interact with each other and attract each other, this is the principle in which everything I've just explained to you comes from. That the thoughts you hold, and more importantly, the energy and vibrations of those thoughts that you hold, are what dictate your reality. That what you focus on and what you tend to hold in your thought attracts energy in sync with what that is. So when you're holding negative thoughts and focusing on negative outcomes, which most of us do by default, you are in turn attracting to yourself negative circumstances and negative outcomes. And when you are thinking on positive things and positive outcomes, you are attracting to yourself positive things and positive outcomes. Put another way, when you're thinking about that great car that you want and that you can have it, you are in sync with the energy of having that great car that you want, and the universe is going to bring to you things that are going to help you achieve it and or put you in the direction of how you can achieve it. Transversely, when you're focused on negative things and things that you don't want to happen to yourself, you are focusing energy onto those things and are doing things to attract those negative situations and those negative circumstances to yourself. Put simply, what you tend to focus on, you're bringing more in your life, because that is the vibration that you're giving out, and that is in turn the kind of energy that you're attracting to yourself. That's why I mentioned earlier that the important part of this is to believe, because what you believe is possible is going to be the catalyst for what is possible. Because what you believe leads to what you expect, and what you expect is your dominant energy is going to lead to that expectation being fulfilled, because your energy is attracting to those things which you expect to happen in your life, put simply. So how have others described this power? And what in particular does this have to do in the context of my watch deal? Well, to just again recapture what I put before, put simply, what you can conceive and believe to be possible, you can create in your life. In the context of my watch deal, what did I do? Well, when I was making minimum wage working a part-time job, I decided that I really wanted to own an Omega, which at the time I could not afford, or so I thought. In particular, I was a Bond fan and I really wanted an Omega Seamaster. Disheartened by the fact that I didn't have several $1,000s to buy a new one, my search ended up leading me to locating a used vintage Omega manual line from the 60s that I was able to acquire online for a couple $100s. I was so determined to have an Omega that the mere fact that I could afford an Omega, even though it wasn't the one that I specifically wanted, was beyond my understanding, and I was so overjoyed to purchase this watch. After buying this watch, I was so tickled by the fact that I actually was able to own a nice vintage Swiss watch that I got super excited and started doing all sorts of research on vintage watches. As it turned out, within a couple months of purchasing that watch, I was able to come across a vintage Rolex that needed a little bit of work, and I was able to purchase it for a really good deal online. When I bought this watch, it was given to me with the case back improperly fastened, and so I took it to a local jeweler to have them put the case back on, and they offered me 5 times what I paid for the watch. Immediately, to have purchased something and to have it be worth so much more than I thought it was, I got excited, and I started calling jewelers around town, asking them if they'd be willing to trade the watch in or give me money for it so that I could trade it in for something else. Lo and behold, I found a famous watch dealer in town who offered me the same amount of money at the time, which was roughly $1,500, I believe, to trade the watch in, and they said that I could trade it in on any watch of equal or greater value. And while I could have actually gotten my Omega Seamaster right then, I actually decided to pick up a Breitling Colt. And this started an idea in my head that by doing research, which is something that was a passion of mine, I could buy things online for a good price and then I could sell them on for a profit. And within a year, I ended up doing this about 30 times. And through buying and selling watches and making money off of these good investments, I was able to keep upping the ante on the kind of watches I was able to afford. And within a year, I was able to buy I want to say it was a U-Series Rolex Submariner, which you've probably seen on some of my videos, which at the time I believe was a $5,200 watch. My total out-of-pocket investment into that piece, I believe, was just under $1,500, which again is a substantial amount of money, but it was a great investment, and I was able to sell it for a profit later on. Since then, I've gone on to buy several other watches, as you've seen on my channel, and my source of income has gone up substantially since. But the point remains that I was able to, in less than a year, actually within 6 months of deciding I wanted an Omega Seamaster, put myself in a position to purchase one for a couple $100 out of pocket. This goes back to the power I've been describing. And just to read you a couple quotes of famous people that tried to describe this power better than I. Buddha once said that we are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. When the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. The mind is everything, what you think you become. Albert Einstein said your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. Henry Ford used to say, whether you think you can or you can't, either way you are right. Peter Drucker said the best way to predict the future is to create it. And one of my favorites by Andrew Carnegie, who, if you're not familiar with him, I highly suggest you look him up. I am no longer cursed by poverty because I took possession of my own mind, and that mind has yielded me every material thing I want and much more than I need. But this power of mine is a universal one, available to the humblest person as it is to the greatest. What do all these quotes have in common? That what you think, you can believe. What you think and believe, you can achieve. So why share this with you? Simple. What I have, I want for others too. I am truly excited to share this power with you, for I know that some of you listening will benefit much from this knowledge. I strongly encourage you to research this power on your own, to come to your own understanding of it and employ it in your life. In time, I have no doubt that you will be surprised by the results. I know this is a tangent from my normal videos, however I felt strongly that this knowledge needs to be shared. As it is becoming widely known in our day and age, I still feel there are plenty more people that could benefit from its understanding. Please let me know your thoughts, questions. I'd love to make more videos on this subject as I find it inspiring, and I'm truly excited to be sharing this with you and look forward to discussing it further with my viewers. Let me know what you think, and please let me know if you'd like to see more posts about this. I would also like to point out that while I have explained this in the context of my watch deals, that this applies to everything in life. I have used this law to purchase my dream cars, to end up in relationships. In fact, my significant other right now, before I ever met them, I created a list of everything I wanted in a partner. And within a couple of months of making that list, I got one that had everything on the list that I wanted. I've been able to pick out cars and exactly what I wanted and how much I wanted to pay for them. And within no time, I was able to find the exact car that I wanted for the price that I wanted to pay. I do this with watches all the time. I've done this with real estate, you name it. And I know this may come off like an infomercial, but I'm telling you this with a true amount of excitement because since discovering this, my life is far and away a very different and better thing than it's ever been before. I truly believe you can do anything you want with this law, and I truly believe that whatever you want to achieve in life, as long as you give yourself permission to want it and believe that you can have it, the universe will tell you how to get it. That's a short introduction to explaining how I got what I wanted, and how I use this power to my benefit, and how it can help you. I recognize this is a very deep concept, and that was a very small introduction. I look forward to sharing more of this with you in the future. In order to do so, I'd like your feedback on what else you'd like to know about this, and if you have any questions about what I've explained to you so far. Further watch videos will be up in no time, as this is a hobby of mine. I continue to collect these things, but I just wanted to let you all know that this is something that I think everybody can benefit from, and I really hope you use this to your benefit. And please don't feel shy to leave comments and ask questions about this, because I would love to explain more of it to you. As I said, I am not the one that created this, nor am I the first person to explain this. There are plenty of others out there that explain this law better than I. I just wanted to make sure that all of my viewers were aware of it, so that you too can benefit from the knowledge of this law, and together we can make this world a better place. I appreciate you watching my videos, and I am grateful for all the things that I've been able to share with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching.